is it crazy for you to see how far that has come since like the show was in your basement, right? Like, is it weird for you to see the success that they're having like live shows and everything now? Like, how surreal is that?
Yeah, 100%. It's crazy. I mean, it's obviously the like the biggest podcast for the Red Sox
Yeah.
in the world, and like Jared's unbelievable. He's so good at what he does, and so uh, and he's been good at what he does for so long. I mean, he was in high school churning out Sox-based blogs, and you know he's charted his own course, and so like in that sense, I'm not surprised, and that's why I joined him to do that because I knew how good he was. But I mean, it's just absolutely crazy how much it's blown up, and knowing sort of where we started. And our first episode that we recorded, we had to re-record because the sound was so bad.
Classic.
We were in my spare bedroom, and then like the 2 episodes after that, we were in Jared's bedroom in his basement in Saugus. So like the fact that they have a studio now, the fact that you know they're doing live shows and people are going out like crazy and packing bars for it, and even like when I've gone to Red Sox games the past like 2 or 3 times, you see Section 10 merch all over the place.
Everywhere.
So
Yeah.
it is pretty crazy to see what it's become, but it's not entirely surprising. I mean, those guys are great.
When you started it, did you see this happening? Because you were like, all right, I'm with the right people. I know we're all going to work hard at it. And at that point, like, it wasn't like there was this great Red Sox podcast already out there that you were competing with. Maybe there were a couple, but I mean, you guys established yourselves right away, I feel like. And was there a thought in your head like, okay, this is going to be something big, or no?
I mean, I knew that it was going to be successful because again, Jared is so good,
Yeah.
and um, I think that like me and Jared's combination of what we brought to that podcast and like our chemistry, because we'd been friends for a while, and we're both sort of like approaching things from the same angle,
Yeah.
where we can kind of be different and funny and you know, talk about things in a way that nobody else can. I knew that it was going to be successful that way, but it was very much well, we'll kind of just see where this goes and wing it. And like at the time, I think at the time Jared was part-time with Barstool. Like he had just started.
I think you're
And
right. Yeah.
so like there was no thought that like Barstool was going to throw its weight behind this podcast.
Right.
So we were kind of like, well, this'll be successful and people will listen to this, but I had no idea that it was going to be what it is now. Absolutely not.
It was just you and Jared at the beginning, right? And then Steve came later. Is that how it went?
Yeah, Steve came like 10 episodes in, and
Okay.
he joined like as a producer right off the bat, and you know his role has grown exponentially since then.
Right.
And like me and Steve always like we have like a on air rapport where like we fucking hate each other, and
I can't tell if it's a bit or not. I can
so
never tell if it's a bit.
that's the best part, and
I don't
nobody
think
ever knows. Me and
I
Steve
think it's
don't
a
even
bit.
know. Me and Steve don't even know. Sometimes we're just like, I mean, I fucking hate you. But I will say, Steve is very good at what he does, and Steve
Yeah.
has had a huge role in growing that podcast. Like I don't think that it would be where it is today without Steve's contributions. Not necessarily like on the mic, because fuck Steve, he's not interesting and he's not funny, but like he is so good at social and putting the clips out there and driving that sort of growth via channels that are really important for growing the podcast.
What went into your decision to leave? Because at that point, I believe it was actually starting to grow pretty quickly. Was it kind of just like, I just don't want to do this anymore? Or was it more so just like, I have too much going on, I can't be on this, and I don't really, because you're not a huge baseball guy anyway, right? Like, or I know you'll watch it, but you're not like hardcore like Steve and Jared in that way.
Yeah, so the idea of when we started the podcast was like Jared is the most diehard Red Sox fan that you'll ever find in the
Yep.
entire world. And I'm very casual. Like I'm a casual Red Sox fan. I'll watch a bunch of games and I'll obviously root for the team, but I will not be able to tell you like 1 through 25 or like 1 through 40 on the roster. And
Right.
and like our idea was, well, that's a good thing, because like I'll learn from Jared and I'll be able to provide a more casual casual perspective, and then we can appeal to both sides. And so once Steve came on, it was I felt like the discussion was more being dominated by like two guys who were fucking obsessed with the Red Sox, and I was able to contribute less and less. And just like at the time, I had more stuff going on, and like really busy, and I wanted to start up a hockey podcast and do some things that I would feel more passionate about. Like, again, if I'm not totally passionate about something, I'm not gonna half-ass it. I'm not gonna like I there's a willingness for me to get out. And I've always
Right.
said that about like my full-time job too. Like if I felt like I wasn't fully enjoying my job, or if I felt like my job was dampening my passion for sports, I would just go do something else, because like
Right.
sports are too important to me. So like there came a point where I felt like I wasn't providing enough value to the podcast, and it wasn't worth my time to continue doing it. And I also think that there was like a sense of like bitterness towards Barstool, because it had fallen underneath the Barstool umbrella. And before I had gone to CBS, I interviewed with Barstool, and I had a couple of conversations with Dave. And Dave, he was nice enough. He was just like, we don't want you because you're like everybody else here, and we want to do different things. And I was like, well, I kind of get it, but there was like a lingering resentment towards Barstool. So at that point, I was just kind of like, well, screw it. I'm just gonna leave.